Hello all. I've been sent an article by a friend of mine, Alex. There's a story being written about it, and I don't yet have the links, but I'll put them on Twitter when the story is released. But Alex sent me, if you will, a sort of preview of the story, and I thought it would be a nice idea if I read it to you. So I'm hoping that you'll take the time to listen. The story is called Boy Erased. Moore is a young man, born in 1990, traditional Jewish parents from Pardes, Katz. As a boy, he relished spending time with animals, caring for them, petting them, and he also devoured action and thriller books. He was a sensitive and a quiet child. He preferred to socialise more with the girls than he did with the boys, as he felt he had more in common with them. As Moore grew up, he realised that he was gay, but as well as being gay, he was also extremely effeminate. Something which was difficult, as his family was extremely traditional. Despite the fact that being extremely effeminate was quite hard within his traditional family, Moore never experienced any gender issues and simply understood himself to be a boy who liked other boys. As a teenager, Moore felt the need to wear girls' clothes or experiment with never felt the need to wear girls' clothes or experiment with stereotypical women's items like makeup. He never grew his hair long and never expressed any anxiety over the fact that he was born male. He said, "I was a chubby, effeminate boy who preferred reading books instead of playing soccer, which was hard. But I didn't experience any anxiety or confusion over who I was." Moore was a fairly typical gay teenager from a traditional Israeli family in the early 20s, who likely would have grown up, moved to the city, and connected with the wider gay community. But things didn't work out like that for Moore. At the age of 14, Moore was victimised by a member of his extended family, emotionally, sexually, and physically. "My abuser would grab me by my chubby waist. It was a total nightmare. I informed my mother of what was going on and we told the police. But the whole ordeal started what would become a decade of mental health issues." In order to cope mentally with the trauma of what Moore had experienced and the shame, self-hate, he started to restrict calories, exercise to the point where he would starve himself for days on end. "I ended up around 30 kilos. I'm 1.70 meters, so the situation was extreme." For the next 5 years, Moore was admitted to many specialist eating disordered units, mental health professionals and psychologists. "I wanted to disappear," he said. "I wanted to take the person I was and just delete him." After 5 long years of intermittent admissions to various mental health facilities, both as a minor and then as an adult, Moore moved to Tel Aviv, joined a gym, started to work out, and gradually gained weight. At the same time, Moore embarked on a new career and met a new partner who he fell in love with, and started to imagine himself building a family and life with his new love, Kobe. Things were looking up for Moore. Him and Kobe were living happily for years. Work was going well, and it finally seemed as though Moore was recovering from his prolonged eating disorder. They even started to imagine having a family together, something which Moore had always wanted to do, but the relationship abruptly ended when he discovered Kobe had been cheating on him for several years with various partners. Moore said, "I was crushed. He was my whole life." Moore, heartbroken and devastated, was hanging out in the Tel Aviv Gan Meir LGBT centre one day, talking about how depressed he was over the loss of his relationship, when a trans woman told him, "All the gay men are like this. They're all cheaters." The trans woman then went on to tell him that as an effeminate gay man, he wouldn't attract a high-quality partner. And maybe the issue was that he was so girly. Perhaps the issue is that he really was a woman. Moore was always pretty repulsed at the idea of transgender people. He knew some drag queens and he liked them, but getting surgery and dressing like a woman full time was something he felt was a bit creepy. But the thought didn't leave his mind. Maybe this really was part of the issue. It's true, he thought. I'm a pretty girl, man. Maybe this way I can live a better life. Moore said, I can see now that I was in an extremely vulnerable place. I didn't have a great connection with my parents. Kobe was my whole life, and I was desperate to feel happier. Moore started to talk to more people at the LGBT Centre about gender identity and his overwhelming depression and despair. They advised him to explore this and move his branch of Clalet, which is an HMO, to Ganmare so that he could talk to them about it. After my first appointment, Moore said, in Ganmare, I was referred to an endocrinologist. Moore arrived to his first appointment with Dr. Ruth Goffen, dressed in men's jeans and a t-shirt, typical workout clothes he described them. Moore believes with hindsight that this was the first step in a long chain of medical mismanagement of his case. Although with recent legislation which bars transgender conversion therapy, one can only speculate if the doctor was not wanting to be accused of medical transphobia by suggesting an alternative such as exploratory therapy, medications for depression, or encouraging Moore to seek a non-medicalised life as a social transition woman. That, ladies and germs, is a story from Israel. We must end this, and we must end it now.